This is the Ecoflow Delta 2 Max, and I'm excited to give you guys my review on it today. I'll show you guys some of the features that this thing has first. I'll show you guys some of the things that this can power, and then I'll give you guys my honest review at the end. So let's get into the video. So first off, guys, when talking about the internal components of this battery, it is a LiFePO 4 battery or lithium iron phosphate, and so it's a very efficient battery. It's going to last you over 3,000 plus battery life cycles to degrade down to 80%. So basically, if you use this thing every day, you're going to be able to use it for longer than a decade, and that's just to degrade it down to 80%, which is really nice. The battery capacity is 2,048 watts, so it is a big battery capacity. It's going to be able to power a lot of things. It has a max output, AC output of 2,400 watts, and a max surge or X boost, which is what Ecoflow calls it, of 3,400 watts. As far as the shape goes of the Ecoflow power station, it's a little bit different than some of the traditional power stations out there. It's more of a rectangular shape, and it doesn't have all the controls just on the front. It actually has some on one side and then some on the other side, or the outlets and things like that. It does have these handles on the side right here, which just makes it really easy to move around and carry it. And this is what I basically call the front side right here. You got your screen, which has your input and your output. It shows how many hours of charging it has. It shows your battery percentage right here. And as you can see on the front, it's got two 100-watt USB-Cs, which is nice. Both of them are 100 watts. And then it's got two USB-As that are fast charging, and then two regular USB-As. And then you got your power button right here. And to use the USBs and USB-Cs, you're just going to want to press this button. Once the light turns on, you're able to start using it. If we flip this thing over to the side, right here, you have your extender ports. So essentially, you can add extra batteries on top of this to double the capacity. So instead of 2,048 watts of battery capacity, you could actually plug in an extra battery right here to these, or even two extra batteries, and you could actually double, or I think even triple actually, the battery capacity of this power station right here. Then if we move it one more time to the other side, on the back, as you can see right here, we have 6 AC outlets. They're all 3-prong, which is really nice. I really like how all of them are 3-prong. There's 6 of them. And then you got your DC charger right here. That's basically a cigarette lighter. If you want to turn that on, you just click this button right here. And if you want to turn on the AC power, the outlets, you just click this button right here and it'll turn on. You can start plugging things in. As I said earlier, this thing has a max AC output of 2,400 watts. So you're going to be able to power a lot of things, which we'll talk about it in the video. I'll actually show you guys this thing powering some other items. But yeah, 2,400 watts, and then it has a max surge up to 3,400 watts. And so if you have a device that needs that extra kick in the beginning, up to 3,400 watts, you're going to be able to do that with this power station, which is really nice. If you click up this flap, or if you pull up this flap, you have your outlet charger right here, and then you have your car outlet charger right here, or solar input as well. So essentially, you can charge this thing up. You can put multiple solar panels in here, two different solar panels. It has up to 1,000 watts of solar charging input. So you can actually plug in two 400-watt panels of this thing, and you're going to be able to charge this a lot faster with that as well. Or you can just plug it into the outlet, and it does charge in about an hour and a half through the outlet charger, which is really nice. So it is really fast charging. That's something that's nice about Ecoflow. And that's just some of the features about the outside. And one thing I forgot to mention is with all these outlets and the USB-As, USB-Cs on the other side, you're going to be able to charge up to 15 items at once with this power station because it's so powerful. Obviously it depends on what you're powering, but as long as it stays under that 2,400 watt output range, you're going to be able to charge or power 15 devices at once, which is pretty crazy for a power station of this size. Now, as far as the weight goes, this power station does have some weight to it, but because it has the handles, it's pretty easy to move around. I'll show you guys right now though. So I'll put it on the scale. And let's see the front. As you can see, it weighs about 52 pounds. So not crazy heavy, but still pretty heavy for the average person to move this thing around. But it does have those handles. So, it's mainly for in-home use, but you can also, it's portable enough to where you can take it with you on the go because it's not that big. Now, as far as how big this power station actually is, I'll actually measure it right now for you guys so you can see it. So I'll do from the top of the handles just because that's, the widest point. As far as the widest point goes right here, it's about 19 inches. So it's about 19 inches wide. It's about a foot tall. And then as far as the width goes, it's about 9.5 inches wide. So not too big, honestly. You're going to be able to fit this thing in the trunk of your car. And then one more thing, it does have fans on both sides. So on this side and on the other side, there's these fans to keep it cool so that way the battery doesn't overheat. All right, so now that we went over some of the features that this power station has, I wanted to show you guys what this thing can actually power. It can power a lot of stuff. Pretty much all of the basic items in your house, which is really nice. And unfortunately, I can't really show you guys an actual full-size fridge right now, but this is actually a portable fridge, basically. So it's a fridge cooler, And I'm going to show you guys, it doesn't use that much power, but I'm going to show you guys that this thing can power that, and it can definitely power a refrigerator. So let's plug it in and see what this thing can do. All right, so here's the cable. It's a 12-volt DC charger to power on this little refrigerator cooler. So I'm going to plug it in right here. The DC charger button's already turned on, and let's see. So you got to hold it down for 3 seconds, and as you can see, it's turned on and it's actually cooling. So this is it right here. It's at 73 degrees right now. It's going to go to -8 degrees though, and it's currently powering this thing up. As you can see, the inside, here's the refrigerator. I actually have the manual and stuff in there, but that's the inside of the refrigerator right there. So now when we look at the front of the power station, you can see the screen, and it's showing about 33 watts of output to be able to power this refrigerator. So believe it or not, to cool devices, it doesn't use that much power. Like refrigerators only use about 150, 200 watts, maybe a little more depending on your refrigerator. This one's only using about 30, 32, 35 watts. So as you can see here, it actually shows you, it adjusts depending on what you're powering. It's going to be able to power this thing up for about 37 hours. So if you guys need, if you had an emergency and you had a portable cooler like this, an electric cooler, I mean, you'd be able to run that thing for about 37 hours, so more than a day, which is a long time, which is pretty cool. All right, so now for another test. I know a lot of people want to know how long this thing can power a TV. This is a 65-inch TV, so I'm going to plug it in right here. Here's the plug-in. I'm going to plug it into the back of the AC 3-prong outlets, and I'll turn the TV on, and we'll see how long this thing can power a TV. And as you can see, the TV is turning on. Let's see this other remote right here. Let's see the TV working. All right, the TV is working. It's on, as you can see, and the power station is running it. Now let's see how many watts this thing pulls. So as we can see right here, the TV is pulling about 64 watts right now. So not much. Let's see if we turn on a show what happens. So it's pulling about 61 watts. So not that much. At the beginning it was about 100. Now it's down to 60 watts. I actually put on a show now, and now it's only 30 watts. Wow, that's interesting. So here we go. Let me turn on the show. So now it's running a show in the background, and it's only about 59 watts. So not too much. All right, guys. So when you're running a show, it's about 65 watts around there. As you can see, if this thing is continuous 65 watts, it's going to last about 20 hours. So almost an entire day with a 65-inch TV, which is pretty cool. Now, this isn't one thing I've noticed about this power station. It's not completely accurate. Sometimes it might run out a little bit faster than that. But at least around 20 hours, you're going to be able to run a 65-inch TV, which is pretty awesome. So this thing is a beast, and that's a long time. Just for a TV plugged in, you can plug in, gaming devices as well, and you're going to be able to run it for a long time just with that alone. All right, so now to actually put this thing to the test, we actually have two different items here. We got a panini maker, we got a waffle maker that actually produce heat, which use a lot more power, and so we're going to test this thing out. I think each of them use about 1,000 watts. So it'll be a pretty good test. It'll be around 2,000 watts. And then after this, I'll actually plug in a third item, and we'll see the surge, how long the surge lasts and the emergency shut off and things like that. So let's start off. I'll start off with the panini maker right here. I'll plug it in. So I'm plugging into one of these 3-prong outlets right here. And as you can see, the light actually turned on. I don't know if you can see there, but the light is on. It's currently working right now. And as you can see right here, it's pulling about 1,189 watts. So quite a bit. Like I said earlier, this is a 2,048 watt power station. And so if you're using this much power for longer, you're not going to be able to have it for that long. It's only going to power for about an hour. But, for a panini maker, you're probably not going to need it for an hour. So it's going to be able to power for an hour. It works. As you can see, no problem. It's still sustaining it. And yeah, it's going to be able to power for about an hour. Now while this thing is going, I'm going to plug in this waffle maker, which is going to be able to pull about 1,000 watts as well. And we'll see what happens when I plug both in to see, if this thing can handle it. So here we go. I'm plugging it in. Let's see if it turns on. Let's see here. There's a light on the back, I think. There's a light on the side right here. There's a light right here that's actually turned on. So as you can see, it's working. And wow, it's pulling about 2,400 watts. So that's actually above the max output, but it's still running it, no problem. We got 2,410 watts. So that's actually exactly at pretty much its max output. And as you can see, it's actually handling it. So here we go. It's only going to be able to power for about 40 minutes, though, if you have both of those running at the same time, just because it uses a lot of power. But let's just wait a little bit longer. Let's see. Wait about 30 more seconds. Okay, guys. So yeah, it's still running it. 2,410 watts of continuous power. That's actually pretty crazy because it's actually a little bit above the 2,400 max output. So it's actually a little bit above that, but it's powering it no problem. and you know, about 40 minutes or so, it's going to be able to power both these items at once. So pretty cool test right there. And as you can see, you know, it definitely reaches that max output, and it's able to power those devices. So pretty cool. All right, guys, now for the last test, we have a toaster added to the mix. And so we have three things that pull a lot of power. It should go up to that 3400 max surge range, and so it actually should be able to handle it for like a couple of seconds, but then it's going to have an emergency shut off because it's going to be above the max output. So the surge is just for a little bit. You know, it's for like a device like a refrigerator that needs a lot of power right away. But if you run continuous power, it'll have an emergency shut off. So we'll see if it works. I'm going to plug in the panini maker real quick once again. So I'm plugging in right now. Now I'm going to plug in the toaster. And then I'm also going to plug in the waffle maker. And let's see what happens, guys. Let's see what happens. So here we go. As you can see, we have about 2400 watts with just the waffle maker and just the panini maker. Now I'm going to turn on the toaster. Let's put this thing down. And it looks like it didn't do much, actually, the toaster. It's still going. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, so the toaster, it's actually still running the toaster, which is pretty crazy. Let's see, let's try this one. Okay, there we go. So it went up, actually, so it went up to about 3000 watts. Well, then it's actually maintaining it under 4,000, under 30 or 2400. That's actually pretty impressive, guys. So as you can see, it actually surged up right away when I put on the toaster. It surged up to like 3000 watts. But now it's actually maintaining the power at 2300 watts. So I'm not sure how it's doing that, because I'll test the toaster by itself, and I think it uses about 900 watts. But it actually has smart control, so it's actually able to utilize the power and basically get it below the max output range and still run those three devices at once, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's really powerful, guys. I mean, if you guys saw my other video about the Delta 2, when I put in just two devices at once, it completely shut off. This one's actually able to handle three at once, which is pretty cool. And just so you guys could see, I wanted to just show the toaster by itself. I have the toaster plugged in right now, and I'll just put it down right here. And as you can see, the toaster itself actually pulls about 762 watts. So the other two, you know, the panini maker and the waffle maker were producing about 2400 watts. But when I plugged this in, it still was able to maintain about 2300 watts. So it actually is able to maintain a little bit more power. It's able to, you know, kind of figure out how much power it actually needs to run these devices. And then it's able to, you know, put it under that threshold of 2400 watts, which is pretty cool, of max output. So let me put down the other one as well. If you put down the other one, it goes up to 1500. So maybe I should have tried both at the same time, but yeah, so pretty awesome, guys. If you guys run at 1500, it's going to be like, you know, about an hour or so. So pretty cool to see, you know, how that works. All right, guys. So as you can see, this thing is a beast. It can power a lot of different things in your house. Pretty much all the basic items in your house, from refrigerators to TVs to even little heaters, mini AC units, things like that. And my honest review on this thing is it's awesome. I've had this thing for probably about 7 months now, and I haven't had any problems with it. It's awesome. Like I said, I mean, there's so many different uses for it. And I think if you're looking for a great power station that's still portable enough and light enough to take with you on the go, but still powerful enough to power mostly everything in your house in case of a power outage, this is a great option. I would definitely recommend checking this one out. I think it's one of the best in the game just because of all the outlets and things that it has, and the max surge, the max output that it has. And overall, it's just a great power station. So nothing but good things to say about this, honestly. You know, it's got the handles. You can take it around with you. And overall, just, you know, a great power station. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching.